It's a cool and crystal clear April night, 33 springs ago, and I'm standing in the kitchen of this very film noirish apartment in Providence, drinking white wine and trying not to look like a complete idiot. I'm a long way from home, and it's my very first cocktail party. The party's hosts are this trio of Persian women who I barely know. A few years before, in the chaotic early days of the revolution, they'd all managed to get out of Tehran, just before it became almost impossible to get out. They're a bit older than I am, but hey, at this point in my life, almost everyone is. Their names, in no particular order, are Aisha, Azar, and Azita. And all three of them are, well, let's just say that we don't have women like this back in Texas. Their conversation drifts effortlessly between French and Farsi, a language I just found out about tonight, and German and Italian and Spanish, and then they top it all off by speaking English a lot better than I do. They sip their wine without paying it the slightest attention, and smoke filterless cigarettes with an absent-minded languor that takes centuries to acquire. They're probably all of 21 or 22, but even now, as I think about them, they are so much older than I will ever be. Basically, these women are so far out of my league that I don't even bother having a crush on them. No, this white boy is just happy to be in the room. I got invited to the party because I'm taking this acting class with Aisha, and she's just asked me, get this, to be an extra in her movie. You can believe me because I would never make up an irony that was so absurdly obvious. I decided to get into theater the year before, when I was a senior in high school. And now, after a few glasses of wine in Aisha's very groovy apartment, this theater thing is starting to seem like the best idea I've ever had in my life. Now, for any of you out there who wants a girlfriend and doesn't have one, and I'm talking to everybody here, so try to have an open mind. If you really want to find yourself a girlfriend, I have 3 words of advice for you. Theater, theater, theater. Because the thing you gotta know about theater is there are lots of women and lots of gay guys. It is awesome. Now, up to this point in my life, 33 springs ago, this awesomeness has not yet translated into my actually landing a girlfriend, but it has landed me at this party. I step away from the kitchen window, wander over to the counter, and idly pick up this big box of safety matches. And at that very moment, Aisha appears and slides one of those filterless cigarettes out of her pack. Now, my mother once told me that a woman should never touch a match or a door. And it's not because she's incapable of lighting her own cigarette or opening a door for herself. It's just that she's got much more important things to think about. By some miracle, I managed to get a match out of the box and lit, on only the second try, and then hold out the flame whilst trembling only slightly. Aisha leans in and puts her hand here to steady me, her fingertip brushing against this vein so lightly that maybe I'm just imagining it. All I know is that there are some things out there that can make your blood race and stop in its tracks all at once. I've seen them. Then I look down at the kitchen counter and see something else that stops me. A man's dress shirt, white, crisp, brand new, still in the wrapping. It's got some French label, but the thing that catches my eye is the size. 15.5, 35, which is my size, which is kind of an unusual size. You see, I've got arms that really belong to someone else. They're a bit too long for the rest of me. Not so great when it comes to shopping for clothes, but good for hiding something away on a high shelf, out of sight and out of mind. Is the shirt yours? I ask Aisha, knowing it's not, and suddenly not so sure I really want to know. No, she says. It's a birthday present from my father. Oh, I say. So where does your family live? In Paris, since '78. Everyone but my father, that is. He stayed behind in Tehran to take care of some things. And now he can't get out. I haven't seen him in 4 years. And she brings the cigarette to her lips, breathes in, and then out, and suddenly I get smoking. You get to see the air as it escapes you. And now Aisha is staring into me, and she must see something there that makes her ask, "And you?" "And me what? Are you close to your father?" And everything stops again. "Well," I say, "I guess that depends on how we're defining close. I haven't seen my father in 14 years. He doesn't have a shirt size." And then the currents and tides of the party shift, and the hours float by, and at some point a gentle wave of fatigue washes over me. And I know that I should probably be getting back home, back to my freshman dorm, back to Brian, my 250-pound, shamrock-tattooed, Budweiser-drinking, football-playing roommate who hasn't done laundry all semester and summer is right around the corner. Yeah, that sounds tempting. Or, Aisha says, you could just rest for a bit, here, before you go. This is your home. Just go down the hallway and into any of the rooms and lie down for a while, if you wish. Well, I do wish. And so I wander down the hall, just like Aisha encouraged me to do, and find a room, the third one. Yeah, this one looks good. And look, there's a bed. And so I sink down into it and close my eyes, and minutes or perhaps hours later, some faint sound or absence of sound gently coaxes me out of my sleep. I open my eyes and see that the bedroom door is now closed, and see candlelight flickering off the far wall, and see Aisha sitting there at her desk with her back to me, leaning forward and writing into a small leather notebook. I can hear the tip of the pen cutting into the paper, maybe left to right, maybe right to left. Maybe it's just a shopping list, or maybe it's one of those random journal entries that seem so important when it's happening, and then you turn the page and never see it again. Or maybe she's finally getting down the end of the story of the last time she ever saw her father, late that night at the Tehran airport, when she was leaving and he was staying behind to take care of some things. That black and white picture of him in her mind, there in his dark suit and thin tie and crisp white shirt that he'll wear forever. 15 and a half, 35. And suddenly Aisha stops writing, turns, and sees me there in the darkness, watching her, and says, "What are you thinking right now?" And I get the feeling that a lot is riding on my answer, and that I've got to come up with something a bit more original than, "I want to touch you." I've got to come up with something that's both brilliant and blasé all at once. And so I think and think and think and think and think, and Aisha says, "Never mind," and turns away from me and back to her notebook and picks up the story where she left off. Some windows close and never open again. Even then I knew that. And so I let my eyes fade shut just like that window. And when I open them again, 33 years have passed, and here I am. And maybe because it's another cool and crystal clear April night, I find myself wondering where the currents of time have taken you, Aisha. Where you are, and what the room looks like, and where you're sitting in it, and what you're writing in that notebook of yours, right now. Because if I could just get a picture of it in my mind, I'd get on a plane tonight and go there. Because there's something that I've been meaning to tell you for a long time. I finally know what I'm thinking.